Hey guys, I'm Cassandra Bodzak, and you're listening to Practical Magic Musings. I am so excited to jump in on this new moon in Leo. So, I'm going to do this as a two-part episode. The first part, we're going to talk about the new moon in general, and I'm going to share with you three super simple new moon rituals for setting intentions, for planting those seeds that anyone can do as part of your new moon process and explain the energy of the new moon. And then in part two, I'm going to specifically talk about this new moon in Leo so that if you're listening to this in the future, you'll be able to listen to just the new moon. And if you're listening to this specifically for new moon in Leo, which is July 31st, August 1st of 2019, then you'll be able to listen to both. So first off, let's dive in. I am so excited, and it is not an accident or a coincidence that I'm relaunching the Practical Magic Musings podcast on a new moon in Leo. When I was thinking about relaunching this, I was like, when is the next new moon? And that kind of leads into new moon rituals and why it's important to align ourselves with the moons, right? So the way I think about it is that the lunar calendar has its own energy. It has its own growth cycle. It's has its own um, opportunities for us, right? For us to start fresh and for us to release. And on the next full moon, we'll do a full moon episode. So I'm not going to touch on that in this episode. We're specifically going to focus on the new moon. So new moons happen once a month, about, and what it is, it's like that energy of the new year. It's that energy that we all get, December 31st, January 1st, kind of interesting. It's this collective agreement that we all have, right, around the new year of, okay, let me do a review of everything I did last year and let me decide how I want to do things differently in this upcoming year. Well, the lunar calendar, I think, is so much smarter because it doesn't make us wait 12 months to readjust and to course correct. It allows us to have this moon every month to make those fine-tuned tweaks. So it doesn't have to be this drastic life change come January 1st. If we're in tune with the lunar calendar and we're looking at the new moons, each new moon has its own personality, right? We go through all of the signs of the zodiac with the new moons throughout the year. So it's almost like you get each sign's medicine. You get each sign's personality, their gift, what they have to give you, the aspect of their life or their aspect of your personality that they touch on. And it's a really beautiful way, I think, to just constantly be shifting your life so that it is in alignment with your soul. It is in alignment with your highest truth. It feels good. You're constantly course correcting in a really loving, sacred, beautiful way. Because for instance, let's say you're in a relationship that's not working, or a job that's not working, or you're doing a diet or fitness routine that's not working. If you go, you just keep on riding that horse for 6 months or a year, then it's going to take a lot more to switch that momentum around, not to mention all the time you waste, right? Doing something that's not working. The new moon gives us an opportunity every month, regardless of what sign it is, to really sit down. And the new moon's energy is introverted. It's more quiet. It's you might be more tired around a new moon. You might need more self-care. It's super natural to feel exhausted around a new moon. The energy of the moon wants us to go inside. It wants us to reflect. It wants us to get into meditation, to get into, journaling. It wants us to really be with ourselves, to hermit up. You might feel the desire to be alone, or to do something very intimate at home with some close friends. That is perfect for the new moon. Practices, around that for the new moon, I would say is, yes, of course, I hope everyone meditates every day, and that's something to work towards if you don't. But a new moon is 100% a time to meditate. And, on in my spiritual community, appreciate.com, we always have a meditation for every new moon. So if you want help, if you want to be guided towards that, you can join Appreciate. It's super affordable. It's cheaper than a yoga class. So you can get in touch with those specific meditations. I always curate the meditations for the moon. But You can really just sit with yourself on a new moon. I'm going to guide you through 3 super simple rituals that I love doing for a new moon that you can do relatively quickly without having to get any kind of bizarro tools or anything like that. We will get into weirder things as we go on, but these are some simple things that I use all the time and alternate them for a new moon ritual setting. But being in that, doing whatever ritual you feel called to do, sitting in meditation for 20 minutes, playing maybe a sound bath from YouTube or playing a guided meditation from YouTube or Headspace or wherever you want to, right? If you're beginning to meditate, and just allowing yourself to receive. I think that is the most important thing, regardless of the moon, is to allow yourself that space to directly connect to that moon. Set that intention for your meditation to connect to that new moon. Like today is the new moon in Leo, right? So connecting to that new moon in Leo energy. And what I do before I share what I'm going to share later, or what you may have seen me share on Instagram or on Appreciate, is I do that. I simply connect to the energy of the moon. Yes, of course, I can look at the astrology. I can see what that goes on. I can look at the characteristics of the moon. But to get the specific download of perhaps what I need to pay attention to, what I need to communicate to you guys, I really connect directly to the moon itself in present time. So you don't need to do anything crazy to do that, right? It's simply setting that intention, bringing that to your meditation, having that prayer. I would love to connect to the energy of this new moon. Help me, and then just sit in silence, or sit with, some sound bowls playing there, and just allow yourself to breathe and be an open container for what comes through. And then after that, you can journal about what this new moon means to you, what the message you got from this new moon. I think you'll notice that as a theme in a lot of my practical magic teachings is I want to show you the methods I do to get the information I've gotten. It's not necessarily about just giving you the information I've received. It's about showing you the processes so that you can have this deeper connection, so that you can feel as empowered around the moon as I do. That's what I want for you. So with a new moon, it is that fresh start. New moons are an auspicious time for us to begin things. They're great times to begin a relationship or begin a new phase of a relationship, right? Getting married on a new moon is a powerful thing. Taking something to the next step on a new moon is a powerful thing. Initiating a plan on a new moon. So let's say, on a new moon, you might decide that you want to move, right? And it would be a great time for you to maybe look at some different places, get an idea for what you want, maybe write a list of the characteristics in the home you want. And that would be the intention you could set for the new moon, right? And then that would probably come to fruition on a full moon, which is a completion end of it. But a new moon is a great time to plant that seed. So similarly with a career, if you're looking for a new career move, then a new moon is the time for you to get really clear, to allow that, bring that into your prayer and your meditation, right? Prayer is when we ask, and meditation is when we listen and we receive the answer. So you can bring that to your metaphorical altar, right? Place it on the altar. Say, hey, I know that I feel like I'm ready for a new chapter in my career. I'm ready for a new chapter in my relationship, or whatever it happens to be that you're guided towards. And then allow yourself to, once again, give yourself the proper time. I would say at least 20 minutes for a new moon meditation. I think 20 minutes a day or 2 times a day is a great meditation practice. And oftentimes when I'm working with clients that are just starting out, I'll be like, just get consistent. Even if it's a 2-minute meditation every day, get consistent and start showing up for it consistently. But when we're in ritual, when we're on these more energetically packed days like new moons and full moons, I would highly suggest sitting longer in meditation, allowing yourself that space to really receive it, to receive that message around the moon, what it wants to talk to you specifically about. And that brings me to one other thing too, is that, I lead moon meditations on Appreciate, but also in person here in LA, and talk to a lot of clients about it. And people love, always are like, oh, well, do you have to look at my chart to tell me what this new moon affects about me? And while yes, you could look at your chart, and you can always look if you can literally Google free birth chart. There's a website called Cafe Astrology that I have no affiliation with, that will do a completely usable birth chart for you for free. And you can look at where is the sign that the moon is in your chart. And depending on where that is will depend on where it hits you. So you may also, if you're not familiar with astrology, have to look up what that house means. So let's say you have Leo in your 7th house, right, of marriage and partnership. Then the new moon might be a time for you to really connect to what you want in a marriage or a partnership, right? Or perhaps it's if you're in a really good relationship, it's perhaps a look at that lens or set intentions around moving that relationship forward, right? And so, but what I like to tell people, and what I want to drive home with this little chat on new moons, is that I always tell my people, you already know. You already know what this moon is hitting because it's the topic that is on your mind. It's the thing that is coming up for you right now. It's probably the thing you think about before you go to bed. It's the thing that's kind of like just in your field right now. So if right now all you're thinking about around this new moon is, moving, getting a new house, let's say, then maybe it is in the home in your chart. And I would, go on a limb to say it doesn't even matter because that is what's coming up for you to utilize this energy for. So if what's top of mind for you now is making some health improvements, then great. The new moon wants you to allow yourself to use this energy, to utilize it, to jumpstart new health improvements. So think of the new moon energy as like a little rocket booster to whatever new project, new initiative, new thing that you're ready to manifest or create or shift in your life. And when we take the time, like I said, the rituals I'm going to give you today, you can do in 30 minutes, with your meditation included. To an hour. They're not long, lengthy rituals, but these are things that if you take that time, you show up for yourself, you show up for the sacredness of it. It truly is practical magic, right? Because the practical magic of doing a new moon ritual is here. So the magical part of it, probably more obvious in this case, is you really connecting with the energy of the moon, you really getting clear and setting these new intentions. And doing a ritual or a spell or whatever you want to call it, right? And the practical part of it is that by taking this time every month to really check in, to really say, oh, what's top of mind? What am I being called to shift and change? We're also adding to our consciousness and saying, let's institute a plan. So yeah, maybe you do a ritual for making a shift in your well-being and adopting healthier eating and adopting moving your body more, right? But then simultaneously with your ritual, the practical magic would be cleaning out your cabinets, writing out a meal plan of what you're going to go food shopping for, how you're going to do this new approach, maybe planning out your yoga classes or whatever it is. That is the importance of this new moon, that new moon ritual and that energy. The practical magic is when you're doing both the ritual and you're instituting those new changes. And it's so much more powerful when you do both of them, rather than doing just the ritual and then not taking that extra 20 minutes, half an hour, whatever it is, to do the practical steps, to write out a game plan for what are the earthly actions you are going to take to institute this new change around this moon. Because, or vice versa, right? Some people don't want to take the time to do the ritual, but they'll quickly, maybe while they're in line at Starbucks or something, write down, this is what I want, and these are the little things I'm going to do it. And like I said, and the reoccurring theme of this podcast will be, we need both elements to really hit the grand slam. So do the ritual and then also show up for the practical work, because that's how you're really going to see some massive leap forwards every new moon. Okay, so let's dive into some 3 simple rituals. As you know, as we've discussed, new moons are all about setting intentions, new chapters, new projects, launching things like on a little energetic rocket ship, just like I'm launching this beautiful podcast and YouTube show on this new moon with that energy, with that added boost of, hey, this is this new seed that I'm planting. This is this new thing I'm launching out into the world. It's a really beautiful energy to just be extra supported on it, right? So ways we can crystallize it. Perhaps one of the simplest ways that I really love doing, and if you're watching this on YouTube and video, you can see I'm showing you a few little envelopes I have right now. And so I have a bunch of little envelopes, and what's inside these envelopes, they're all sealed, so I can't actually open because these are real ones that I have done, that I've done a ritual around. These are thank you cards. So I went out to my favorite card store, paper store, and I bought some really beautiful thank you cards that made me happy. You absolutely don't have to spend a lot of money on thank you cards. You could write them or draw them yourself, but I just like having them around because they're a really great go-to new moon ritual. So I wrote out some thank you cards. I have 5 here right now that I had set into motion, but you can truly decide, you might have 1 thank you card per new moon or however many rockets you're launching, so to speak. And then I literally write out thank you cards to the divine. So whatever your higher power is, whether it's source, universe, God, angels, your spirit guides, your soul, whoever you want to thank for helping bring this into your life. You write out thank you cards as if whatever new changes and new projects and new intentions that you're setting, new goals, right? As if they've already happened. So for instance, thank you, God, for the amazing man in my life. He is such an incredible partner. He makes me feel so loved, so cherished, so supported. I enjoy waking up every morning to him. I am so grateful for the love and the joy and the happiness he brings into my life. Thank you. And so that would be a way, let's say if you were setting the intention, if one of the things you were calling on this moon was that partnership, to thank source, thank your higher power for already delivering it to you. And write that thank you note in present tense and get descriptive with it. I'm just kind of riffing right now, but if you want to write a thank you for the new job, like really write it out. Thank you for this amazing job that is a close drive from my home, that I'm surrounded by coworkers that I laugh all day, that inspire me, that are creative. Thank you for a boss that's understanding while still helping me rise to the next level. Thank you for the amazing salary I have. Thank you for these projects that I've always wanted to work on. Really getting as clear as possible and allowing yourself, because part of the ritual here is not only when you write them, but it's writing them and then allowing yourself to really feel the gratitude of it already happening as you are writing them, as you're sealing them, as you're kissing them, and being in that energy. And allowing them to sit there as a symbol of your gratitude for these blessings that are on their way. And so that's a super simple one. You can leave it on your own. And then with these cards, if you have an altar, if you have a special space in your home, you can place them there. I would, even if you don't have an altar yet, and that might be a future episode where we talk about setting up an altar, you can find a beautiful space, find a beautiful space on a bookshelf with a candle or a flower, find a beautiful space on a windowsill. If you want to incorporate our next ritual with it, you can place your candle on top of it with your new moon ritual. Oftentimes you can incorporate a couple of these. You can put them in that beautiful chest and maybe even have a new moon chest it could be an old shoebox that you decorate or a beautiful wooden box that you find, right? And just make it really beautiful. And that could be your thank you chest. You can really have a lot of fun with it. And when it comes to these rituals, adding those personal touches adds more power, adds more of your energy. So finding thank you cards or creating thank you cards that really resonate with you, that have your energy and your love in them, right? Creating a beautiful chest or putting it in a special place. It just matters that it means something to you, right? That's one of the things that you'll find with a lot of the rituals that I guide you through as we go along, is that it really is about, I can give you the bare bones of it, and then I want you to make it yours. I want you to own it and have fun with it and get creative with it. And, play your music, play your music that you want to when you're making your thank you cards. And maybe that's mantra music, maybe that's solfeggio frequencies, maybe that's Beyonce, make it your own. There's no right or wrong here, right? It's about getting into the energy and the vibration of creation, of tapping into your power to plant these seeds and actually let them grow. And to say, hey, I'm unleashing this. I'm throwing this on this rocket ship right now of energy, and saying, this is what I want to create in my life. So going with that, which you could also incorporate, is doing a candle ritual. So candle rituals are very popular. Working with the fire element, could probably do a whole episode on candle rituals, but I'll keep it simple for this new moon. So I love to go out and buy, right now, actually, there's a lot of spell candles that are really popular. So you could go out and actually get, if you go to like House of Intuition, or I'm sure there's a bunch of other places, that's just the one I know in LA, that have actually already made candles with intentions on them. It's kind of like a witchy shortcut, I suppose. But you can literally just go to Rite Aid or Home Depot or Walmart, wherever you buy candles, and buy a candle that speaks to you. The one I'm holding right now is, I want to say it's like a 4-ounce candle. It's like a baby mason jar looking candle with some pink candle in it. This one actually is citronella because I was just camping. And so I got it for bugs. But literally what I like to do is, around the moon, is I like to go to wherever I'm going to go to buy a candle. And I go and I look at the colors and I look, well, what color? Like this one that I'm holding is pink, right? So this is just a candle I'm showing to demonstrate, but this would be maybe for something heart-centered, right? If you guys notice, a lot of the intentions that I'm setting around Practical Magic Musings have lots of beautiful flowers and pink and purple hues, right? So this pink kind of reminds me of that practical magic energy, right? And that's personal to me. Now you could say, well, pink reminds me of love. Okay, that's great. You could have a new career project, and for whatever reason you connected with the orange color, right? This is, once again, where we get to make it our own. So go pick out a candle that connects to you, pick out a scent that connects to you of the candle if you want it to be scented, and pick out a color that resonates with you. Obviously, ideally, you get one that's organic, has a good wax in it, but you really want to connect to this candle. And you want to get a candle. I highly recommend getting a candle in a glass jar, because when we do ritual candles, you're going to want them to burn all the way out. So unfortunately, sometimes it's better to get a smaller candle that's affordable, and that has a glass around it, so that you can let it burn all the way out. It's not going to take 7 days to burn all the way out, and it's not going to burn your house down, because we also want to be careful of fire safety. So and my baby little mason jar candle, which is absolutely perfect. And what you can do is you anoint your candle. So again, we get into that energy of the moon, and you can pick, if it already has a scent, you may not need to anoint it, right? Because you can connect that scent to it. If it doesn't have a scent and you want to use your favorite essential oil, or an essential oil that resonates with your intention or your blessing, for practical magic, I use jasmine, lavender, and rose, like the combination of the three, and myrrh, because of the sacredness of it, right? And so you can put that blend, or that oil, that scent, anointed on the thing, which simply just means rubbing it on the top, right? And you want to do this, again, you do this with some music playing, maybe with some incense burning, or your essential oil diffusing. Make it beautiful, make it magical. That's so much of it, right? We get to add that magic to it. And so we're anointing the candle, and you get really clear. If you've written your thank you cards, you can literally put the candle on top of the thank you cards and allow the candle to hold the intentions and the wishes of the thank you cards. If you don't want to write the thank you cards, you can simply write on a piece of paper, in present tense, your new moon intentions. So for instance, I am healthy and fit, and I love going to the gym on a regular basis. I feel so energized because I'm putting healthful foods in my body or whatnot. Not, I want to go to the gym on a regular basis. I want to eat healthier. You want to say it in present tense. So you're owning it when you're putting forth this into the world. So you write out your little intentions on a piece of paper and you can fold them and put them under your candle. And then as you're lighting your candle, close your eyes and be in the energy. So you light the candle, saying those things out loud, confirming in present tense what you're calling in. And I like to say it 3 times in a row. The magical spell casting, right? Say it 3 times in a row. Just make sure it gets out there, right? Light that candle and then stay with that candle and allow yourself to be with the candle. You know, I like to hold it with both hands and envision what that's going to feel like, how that's going to feel when that is true, when that statement that you just said, getting into the energy of that statement being true. How it's going to feel when you feel that way, when you've accomplished that thing, when you've called that thing into your life. And then when you're ready, when you feel like you've completed that vision, when you've held it, then you can place your candle and your piece of paper or your thank you notes, again, on your altar, on a bedside table, on a sacred, safe space where you can allow it to burn until it goes out. And having it in the glass container, that's why it's so important. Keeps it safe so you don't have to worry about it. And also, if you are a little bit nervous about logistically, you can place your candle in your sink. I have some girlfriends that like doing that. I've been doing this for years, and I feel very comfortable and trust in the glass containers that I get that they're holding the candle. So and you just let it go, and that candle is now working its own magic for you and moving the energy and calling in those intentions, working with the moon, calling in the moon. And again, when you're doing these rituals, just like what I said with your new moon meditation, you're calling in the moon. You're talking to the moon. You're saying, hey, new moon in Leo, or hey, new moon, whatever it is, please work with me to bring these forth into my life. Right? I call upon the new moon. Thank you, new moon, for these beautiful blessings coming into my life, right? We're incorporating it in our own way. And then last, but certainly not least, as you may have heard, one of the things I always say about the new moon that just keeps on coming up and coming up is about planting seeds. And I have a meditation, there's a new moon meditation on YouTube where I guide you through the planting of the seeds, right? And so you can go check that out. If you've done one of my Appreciating New Moon meditations, you've definitely come across it at least once. And same thing for in person, because this visualization I get so clearly around the new moon is this time to plant seeds. For us to literally put seeds in the ground of the things we're ready to call forth and watch them grow and water them and give them sunlight and give them the right conditions so that they can flourish. And so one of the beautiful things, a little bit more intensive than the ritual I just told you about, is actually planting something on the new moon. So I have this little bowl that I planted a succulent in. You can see it's kind of growing a little wild now. And it's super simple. You can tell I'm not like the best gardener right here. The soil is kind of like haphazardly in here. But I got this little bowl, put some soil in here. And if this is something you want to do, you can buy a baby bag of soil and some seeds or baby plants so you can replant. And the magic of doing this ritual, once again, we're playing the music, we're setting the intentions, we're creating that sacred space. And then as we're planting, while we're present in this process of putting the soil in the bowl, of placing the seeds in, of putting the plant in, however you want to do it, we're conscious of what we're truly planting. So if you want to plant 3 different intentions, you better get 3 different seeds, 3 different baby plants, right? Because each plant that you're physically planting with your hands, and this is what I would call earth magic, right? Candle magic is fire magic. We're using the element of fire to energize our intentions. Here we're using the element of earth and water. So our hands are in that soil. It's really beautiful. The grounding earth energy brings things into fruition, brings things into form on this planet, and the water, of course, nourishes it. allows it to come to life. So it's a beautiful part of the ritual to plant whatever you want to plant. And while you're in the planting, really be in that intention of what am I planting with this new moon? What am I planting in my life right now? And seeing it, just like we do with the candle, really seeing it in your mind's eye as you're doing it, being in that energetic cocoon of it happening and the joy of it happening and the gratitude of it happening. And then when you're done, watering it, or a little bit, and placing it in a place where it will get adequate sunlight so that it will nourish it. And this will show as a symbol, and you can even decorate it. You could put some crystals in your thing. You could put a little sign with what it means if you want. You can decorate it, make it yours, make it beautiful, make it sacred, of course. And that will, can sit in your altar or a windowsill or on a table and be a symbol of these beautiful things that you're calling into your life. I really, really love it as a ritual. And it's just something so simple, but so active and so magical that you're literally, as you're watering this plant, as you're checking on it every day, you're also reminded once again, the practical and the magical. So the magical is that we worked with the earth magic, we worked with the water magic, these elements, right? Then we've planted these seeds, both metaphorically, energetically, into form, and the practical, the plant of it. And so the magical is, as we're reminded of it every day as we see it in our home, we're also reminded of the practical of how you have to water that plant and make sure it has sunlight, but also how you have to water those intentions, right? And provide them with the right environment to grow. So for instance, if your intention is to find love, right? Like we'll go back to that thank you note about the ideal partner, then the watering of it as you're watering your plant could be like, oh, am I putting myself out there to go on dates? Am I asking friends to set me up? Am I being open energetically when someone approaches me or tries to make a friendly conversation with me at the cafe? Am I going on dating sites and putting myself out in that way? Am I releasing men from my past that aren't weeding the garden, so to speak, right? Am I releasing men from my past that might still be talking to me that could potentially block that from coming in? It brings us into the consciousness, right? Of what do I need to do to actually nourish and water and give these intentions that I set with these plants that same environment to grow and thrive as the actual literal plants are. So I absolutely love that ritual. I hope you guys have enjoyed this little chat about the new moon and about the different rituals that are accessible to you with the new moon. Like I said, I want this to be something you can listen to this any new moon to help you get some ideas for how to create your own ritual, how to start getting into the habit of showing up for these this lunar calendar and this beautiful lunar rhythm that really benefits our life when we tune into it. And so I'm going to move on over to part 2 right now and chat a little bit more about this particular new moon in Leo. But before I go, if you're only listening to this portion of the podcast, I really would love to invite you to watch my Practical Magic 101 workshop. It's completely free. If you enjoyed this podcast, you'll love the workshop. You can find that in the info below or in my Instagram bio or at practicalmagictraining.com/workshop. And I would love, if you love this podcast, to leave me a 5-star review. Tell me what you love about it so much. For every 25 reviews we get, I'm going to select one lucky person to get a free Practical Magic hour-long one-on-one breakthrough session with me. So for every 25 people that we get leaving reviews, I'm going to select one person and give you a completely free $444 breakthrough session with me, just to say thank you for really showing your support for this podcast and leaving that review. If you're watching this on YouTube, please hit subscribe, leave me a comment, let me know if you enjoyed this, if you're going to use any of these rituals, and I'll see you in part 2.